Mira was 29 when she realized she had been living someone else's life without noticing. It happened on a Tuesday, which is the way most important things happen. She was standing at her counter at the small branch of the bank where she had worked for 7 years, counting the same kind of notes for the same kind of customers, when an old man she had served 100 times looked at her carefully and said, "You have your mother's eyes, but you look tired for someone so young." Then he thanked her and walked out into the sun. She stayed at the counter for a long time after that. Her life had been designed carefully by other people. A safe degree, a safe job, a safe town, a safe boy chosen by her aunts, whom she had not yet agreed to marry only because she kept finding new reasons to postpone the meeting. Everyone around her was doing exactly the same thing. Everyone around her seemed content. Everyone around her, she noticed for the first time, looked slightly tired. That evening she walked home the long way. She passed the old post office, the tailor's shop, the cinema that no longer showed films, and she asked herself a question she had been avoiding for years. If nothing changed, what would her life look like at 40? At 50? At 70? She could see it exactly. Every year folded neatly on top of the last one. Same counter, same route, same tired eyes. She did not sleep that night. She sat by her window and made a decision she did not yet know how to keep. She would not become the woman she had been quietly agreeing to become. The next morning she did something small. She walked into a small computer institute on her lunch break and asked how much a beginner class in digital design cost. The man behind the desk quoted a fee that was nearly a fifth of her monthly salary. She said she would think about it. She thought about it for exactly 3 hours, then walked back after work and paid. That was her first step off the map. It felt more frightening than it should have. Her hands shook when she signed the form. She told no one at first. She learned to hide her books inside her office bag. She practiced late at night on her old laptop, the screen half broken, the fan sounding like a dying insect. She was terrible for the first 6 weeks. Truly, embarrassingly terrible. Her classmates were mostly 19 and quicker than her, and she cried in a bathroom stall twice. But she kept going, not because she felt brave. She did not feel brave. She kept going because she had already imagined the version of her life where she quit, and she could not survive that version anymore. Slowly her hands stopped shaking. Slowly her work stopped being terrible. One evening the instructor stopped behind her chair and said, "This is actually good. Where did you learn this?" She almost cried again, this time from a different feeling. She had learned it from staying, when every part of her wanted to run. She began taking on small freelance jobs. A logo for a friend's bakery, a flyer for a small school. The pay was tiny, sometimes nothing. But something had begun, and something is very different from nothing. Her family noticed the change before she confessed it. Her mother asked her gently why she was staying up so late. Her father asked, less gently, whether she was neglecting the marriage discussion. Her elder sister told her plainly that she was being childish, that everyone dreams at 29, that dreams do not pay for weddings and children and old age. Mira listened to all of them. She loved all of them. She did not argue with any of them. She simply did not stop. She learned that the loudest voices in your life are almost never the ones who will live your life. She learned that people who love you can also, without knowing it, be the ones who most want you to stay small, because a small version of you is easier to protect. The hardest year was the second. Her freelance work grew, but slowly, painfully, unglamorously. She was still at the bank counter. She was tired all the time. She missed weddings. She missed festivals. She missed sleep. Twice she almost quit her side work. Once she almost quit the bank. She did neither. She kept both plates spinning, and she kept teaching herself one small skill at a time in stolen hours. She noticed that most people around her were waiting for something, waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel confident, waiting for a sign, waiting for permission. She had waited that way for a long time herself. She understood now that no one was ever going to give her permission. The sign she had been waiting for was her own decision to move. Confidence, she realized, was not a feeling. It was a receipt. You earned it by doing things and surviving them. Every small deadline she met, every small design she delivered, every awkward client call she got through, she was buying a receipt. Slowly her receipts stacked up. In the third year, a small firm in another city offered her a full-time position. Better pay than the bank. Work she actually wanted. She stared at the offer for 2 days. Then she said yes and told her family the same evening. Her mother cried. Her father was silent for a long time, Her sister called her selfish. The boy she had been slowly disappointing for 2 years finally married someone else, and she felt only relief. She packed 2 suitcases and left on a morning train. The new city did not welcome her. She lived in a tiny room with a broken tap and a neighbor who played loud music at odd hours. Her new job was harder than she expected. She made mistakes. She was corrected in front of others. She lay in bed some nights wondering if her sister had been right, if this was all a foolish adventure being lived by a woman who should have known better. But she noticed something interesting. Even on her worst days in the new city, she felt more alive than she had felt on her best days at the bank counter. Being tired from something you chose, she learned, is not the same as being tired from something you were assigned. One drains you, the other builds you. She stayed, she got better. She stopped comparing her life to the lives of her old classmates who were now posting photos of their children, their houses, their steady futures. She reminded herself that her clock ran on a different track now, and that her track was not late, only different. Small things began to accumulate. A promotion, a raise, a friend or two who were also off the map, a weekend course in a subject that had nothing to do with her job, taken purely because she was curious. She was becoming a person who explored instead of a person who arrived. That felt important. She began to see quietly that most people around her in the world were doing what she used to do, waiting to feel ready, choosing the easy shape of the day, following the crowd not because they believed in it, but because leaving it seemed impossible. She did not judge them. She had been them for 29 years, but she also could not go back. In the 5th year, a small design studio she had been building on the side began to bring in real money. In the 6th, she left her job again, this time on her own terms, to run it full-time. In the 7th, she hired her first employee, a young woman from her own hometown who reminded her, painfully, of a version of herself she barely remembered anymore. The girl was quiet in her interview. She was clearly scared. She kept apologizing for things she did not need to apologize for. Mira hired her anyway because she recognized the look in her eyes. It was the look of someone who is still waiting for permission. On the girl's first day, Mira took her out for tea. She said only a few things, but she said them clearly because she remembered how much they would have helped her at 29. You do not need to feel ready. You will never feel ready. Waiting for readiness is how ordinary lives are built. Take one small step now and take another next week and another the week after that. Fear will not leave you. Do it while fear is standing beside you. Fear only means you are about to grow. The people you love will not always understand you. That is not their fault. They are trying to keep you safe, but safe is not the same as alive. You do not need to be different from everyone at once. You only need to stop being exactly like them. Take one path they have not taken. Learn one skill they have not learned. Read one book they will not open. Small differences compound. In 10 years, you will look nothing like the people who stood beside you today. Do the boring work. Everyone can be excited for 2 weeks. Almost no one can show up for 2 years. The ones who do become the ones the world eventually notices. Consistency is quieter than motivation, but it lasts longer and it wins in the end. And when you are old and someone half your age looks at you and says you have tired eyes, you will know it was because you built something, not because you sat still and waited to be chosen. The young woman was quiet for a long time. Then she asked softly, "Is that really enough? Just those things?" Mira smiled and looked out at the city she had once been afraid to move to. "Those are more than enough," she said. "Those are almost everything." And she paid for the tea, and they walked back to the studio together.